many tools, too much stress, and way too many bills.
Odoo replaces it all. One connected platform for every part of your business, so you can work faster, smarter, and for less. Odoo, the only software you'll ever need. Try it free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Yeah. They told you what to think, not how to think. Time to wake up. DeProgrammed. Yeah. Static in my head, yeah, they feed it through the screen. Every headline scripted, every angle too clean. They sell fear, sell lies, dress it up as truth. But I see through the smoke, yeah, I'm back to the root. They don't want faith, they want blind compliance. Cancel conviction, silence defiance. But I got fire, ain't hiding that light. Truth in my chest, yeah, I came to fight. They twist what's real, redefine right. Call wrong, progress, keep dimming the light. But I read between lines, I don't follow the wave. I was lost, now I'm found, yeah, I broke from the cave. I won't bow, I won't bend. Truth don't change with the trend. Through the noise, through the lies, I can finally see with open eyes. Break the signal, cut the lies. Hear the truth, it never dies. Turn it up, let it roar. We ain't playing this game no more. DeProgrammed, yeah, we rise. Faith and fire in our eyes. Stand tall, unashamed, we were lost, but now we're deprogrammed. To a joke, make conviction feel old. But I stand on the word, yeah, solid, unshaken. Every lie they built up, yeah, it's all gonna break it. I see culture shift quick like sand in a tide. But truth don't drift, it don't run, it don't hide. They can mock, they can shout, try to bury the name. But the light breaks through, yeah, burst to the shame. This ain't rage, this is purpose and aim. We bring heat, but we ain't get the flame. Not programmed, not bought, not sold. We speak life, we don't fold. Yeah. It's more than a podcast. It's a wake-up call. Faith over fear. Truth over all. You don't gotta stay asleep. You don't gotta play along. Break the chains. Find your voice. This where you belong. Break the signal, cut the lies. Hear the truth, it never dies. Turn it up, let it roar. We ain't playing this game no more. DeProgrammed, yeah, we rise. Faith and fire in our eyes. Stand tall, unashamed, we were lost, but now we're deprogrammed.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm doing so many shows here lately. I'm getting it all confused. Everything is meshing together. But yeah, welcome to DeProgrammed. I'm Joshua Cummins. You may recognize me from my home network, Revolver Broadcasting, but you're listening to me here on Eternal Affairs, also known as EA Truth Radio. But this show is called DeProgrammed, and I'm, like I said, I'm Joshua Cummins from Revolver Broadcasting. This show is brought to you by EternalAffairsMedia.com. EternalAffairsMedia.com. So if you haven't already been to the Eternal Affairs website, get over to EternalAffairsMedia.com. Do check out in the description. There's all kinds of things for you to check out All Things Eternal Affairs Media. And if you have a chance, check out Revolver Broadcasting, my home network, the network that I built from the ground up with my good friend Sterling and Alan and a few other folks there. So if you guys would follow that as well, follow or subscribe, depending upon the platform you're viewing or listening on for both those. And just before we get into all the stories that we're going to be covering this afternoon, we've got quite a few news stories all lined up here, and I want to talk about some things before we even get into the news stories. But I want to tell you about how much I like my pillow. I love my pillow, actually. I own two of them, as a matter of fact. I own two my pillows, and if you'd like to support our Truthful Media Ministry, as well as Mike Lindell and Fair Elections, use promo code ETERNAL at mypillow.com. You can get up to 88% off depending upon what sales are running. They have many products besides just my pillows. Of course, there's the sheets and the blankets and the slippers and all kinds of stuff. So go over there to check it out. Just take a look. Remember, use promo code ETERNAL at mypillow.com. If you haven't already, do hit the like button. I'd ask that you smash it, as a matter of fact. Do get in that comment section. If you're watching on live chat, hit that live chat, but also in the comment section below. Love to hear from you. Your thoughts. Keep coming back as much as we can do this show, because I'll be doing this show this week and next Saturday as well, because I missed a bit due to some unforeseen circumstances, as you can hear in my voice. It's been kind of hard to continue doing shows back to back because I keep losing my voice here and there. So doing my best to stay on track here. So if you pray, if you pray, please pray for me to, continue to getting back to healthy as I'm still on that road. But doing much better than I was, that's for sure. Let's see here. Yeah. And just before we dive into the news stories and get into the news desk as well. I think I already told you. Make sure and share this content if you guys haven't already. If you're on Rumble, repost does the most. If you're on YouTube, just share it out. Create a post. That'll be huge. If you have a YouTube channel, just create a post and to put, because that helps break the algorithm and take this program further. We want to break the cycle of mainstream media and bring you everything that we can uncover, all the rocks that we overturn here at Eternal Affairs and over there at Revolver Broadcasting. All righty. Let's get over to the news desk, shall we? I love how that transition happens. It's pretty fantastic. And then let's see if we can get this first thing here. There it is. Okay, there it is. All right. So we're going to be talking about Spencer Pratt. We're going to be talking about some potential aliens, so to speak. That's what the government says they are anyway. There's the Democratic Socialists, something else. There's another threat to this country. I think they'll be snuffed out, but we'll get into that. President Trump's arch plan for D.C. We're going to talk about Trump warning Iran, and we're going to talk about Sophie Cunningham, because she's just been everywhere, and I think that would be a disservice if we didn't break up all that serious news with at least one good, fun, loving, warming your heart story. But let's start off with the man of the hour himself, Spencer Pratt. Now, he has proved something, and first article here comes from Town Hall. So if you're wondering where my sources are, I'm going to tell you exactly where my sources are coming from as I read them and we discuss them. Town Hall's this first one. It says Spencer Pratt says the real problem with California isn't the vote counting. It starts long before that. Spencer Pratt is taking on California's election system in a nearly 10-minute video posted on social media. Pratt laid out the real problem with California's elections. His argument was not that the vote tabulation itself is fraudulent. In fact, he said ballots are counted with robotic accuracy. Instead, the problem is with that California's elections have no safeguards and a string of loose regulations that undermines confidence in the system and invite abuse long before ever reaching the counting room. So, love that video. It is a little echoey, so just be prepared for that. But I think that's just because he's filmed it in his trailer. But you guys need to check this out. This is Spencer Pratt talking about what he's working on there in California.
In judicial ethics, the mere appearance of potential fraud is disqualifying. Same goes here. Whether or not there is widespread fraud occurring, there certainly could be. And it doesn't matter how many times you scream, there's no widespread fraud. A lot of people believe there is, and there's no way to actually validate it. This isn't just about whether or not fraud is swinging the election. The appearance of fraud already is swinging the election. People rightly have zero faith in this janky, inefficient system. They feel like their vote isn't being counted. They feel like illegal ballots are being cast, and they're not wrong to worry about it. There's literally no safeguards in place to prevent that from happening, and way too many openings for it to occur on a massive scale. You all saw how I was neck and neck with Karen Basura on election night, nearly double digits ahead of Nithya, just as the polling predicted.
Rahman fighting tears on election night, trailing Spencer Pratt by roughly 40,000 votes and about 10 percentage points.
I dominated the in-person vote. I smashed Nithya on the mail-in ballots, too. She was crying on election night. It was over. Then a few days later, suddenly Nithya started overperforming as they continued to accept ballots 7 days after the election.
But days of counting mail-in ballots have changed the map.
I'm so grateful.
Rahman has now erased a 40,000 vote deficit and moved ahead of Pratt by roughly 3,000 votes, a net swing of more than 43,000 votes.
43,000 votes, which just happens to be the exact number of homeless people on the streets in LA. They assured everyone that this is normal because for some reason that they can't explain, Democrats overwhelmingly vote by mail.
There's a historical phenomenon in national voting called the Red Mirage.
The Red Mirage.
What we were calling a Red Mirage.
The Red Mirage.
Red Mirage. Yeah. This term was coined because about some swing states count votes, usually favoring Republicans early. Then it becomes an advantage for Democrats later in the evening and then into the next morning.
You expect to see the Republican with a lead, but it's not really a lead.
Democrats vote in higher numbers by a mail-in ballot. Historically, Democrats vote in higher numbers by mail-in ballots.
But not all Democrats, just the ones who are voting for the third place candidate, the one candidate who really needed the votes. Don't forget, there were 2 Democrats in the race, but for some reason, only the third place Democrat who needed the votes saw a disproportionate spike in votes several days after the election. Plus, multiple studies have shown that mail voting doesn't provide an advantage to either party. It's a myth. The media will say that claims of fraud here are without evidence. Keep in mind, an anomalous statistical spike like this is evidence of fraud. Ask any forensic accountant. It may not be necessarily proof of fraud, but it is certainly evidence of fraud. But forget the late ballots. Just because the vote swing coincidentally matched the specific LASA count of homeless people on the streets, just because NGOs that Nithya cuts checks to were hoarding ballots, Just because hundreds of thousands of dead people and ex-residents who've left California were still on the voter rolls doesn't mean anyone is taking those loose ballots and filling them out. First off, it's against the law. And we all know if it's against the law, it doesn't happen. Secondly, we have signature verification. Everyone has to sign their ballot, and a computer checks your signature. Well, except some voters can't sign, so they carved out a rule where you can just make a mark on the ballot, and a witness can sign on your behalf. It can be an X or a scribble or even a happy face, as long as a witness signs off on it. And don't forget, once they separate the ballot from the envelope, there's zero way to trace it back to the ballot to check if a sudden tranche of votes that swung predominantly to one candidate had come from a bunch of ballots with the happy faces in the signature box. The DSA instructs their ballot harvesters to go door to door and tell them to vote for DeProgrammed and even help them fill in the bubble for their preferred socialist candidates. This is explicitly illegal. A ballot harvester can't tell you how to vote, and they certainly can't help you fill out the ballot. The laws don't matter if you have no mechanism in place to prevent the crime from occurring in the first place. There is this misnomer being parroted even by staunch critics of California's rigged voting system, saying there's nothing you can do because this is all legal in California. It's not legal. Even by California's own ridiculous laws, all this stuff is still illegal. They've simply removed all the mechanisms to catch the fraud and prevent it from happening. It's like a bank heist, but California has made a law that you can't lock the bank vault. You're not allowed to have security cameras, and you can't count the money inside the vault. Robbing the bank is still 100% illegal, but there's no way to stop it from happening. Now here's the smoky backroom dealing. 5 days before my election, Gavin Newsom signed a ridiculous law that literally banned federal and independent authorities from investigating vote fraud or overseeing elections to monitor for fraud during the counting process.
That's why I'm moving forward with new legislation that would make it a felony to seize ballots before the vote has been certified by state and county officials. We will be the wall he cannot get past.
That's like banning the bank from having security cameras. Now, the timing of this was deliberate. He knows this won't hold up in court, but he did it so close to the election day, he knew the courts wouldn't be able to overturn it in time for the election. It's truly like going up against the casino. The deck is so stacked against you, you never really stand a chance. You can play if you choose, but the house will never lose. So now, in California, you can loot $950 of merchandise. You can knowingly infect someone with HIV, but if you try to prevent vote fraud,
you will be prosecuted.
How can you secure the money if you can't lock the vault? How can you catch the robbers if you're not allowed to monitor the vault? And how can you even identify if the vault were even robbed in the first place if you can't even count the money? This is what California has done with elections. Unsolicited ballots going into open mailboxes and NGOs and parking lots. Bank vault is wide open. No signature required, no ID required, no way to ID the robbers. And the beauty of their rigged system is they can have all the pageantry of this public ballot counting center. Hey, come on down. It's open to the public. Anyone can come watch so you can see just how kosher our system is.
We are inside LA County's massive ballot processing center. When Assistant United States Attorney arrived on scene to observe the process and ask questions.
All the fraud that does occur happens long before the ballots even hit this building. People have been pushing me to demand a recount. Why? You could recount these anonymous ballots 100 times. You'll get the same exact result. I have no doubt that they are doing a flawless job of accurately counting every single ballot in here with robotic precision. The fraud isn't here. It's here on Skid Row, where homeless people are paid a couple bucks for their ballots.
They give you $2 to vote? Yeah, we do the street. Did they come down here and try and tell you to vote?
Yes.
They told you who to vote for?
Yes. Since I'm voting your way, did I get a play? You know what I mean?
It's here where socialist street animals go door to door and violate the ballot harvesting laws. People bring up the old communist adage often attributed to Stalin saying, it's not who votes that counts, it's who counts the votes. No, this is the modern era of fraud. They've gotten wise. The modern communist agrees with the old communist, but just the first part. It doesn't matter who votes. It doesn't matter if it's a drug zombie being paid for their ballot. It doesn't matter if it's a DSA socialist street animal filling out your ballot. It doesn't matter if it's a blue-haired intern at a DeProgrammed-funded NGO filling out the ballots. The bank vault is wide open. The cameras have been removed, and there's no way to count the money. Now, for those of you who wanted me to fight the election, for those of you who thought I was quitting or I was bought off to step aside and quietly disappear, I'll remind you, there's a smart way to handle these things and a dumb way. Evidence is not proof. I don't say things without proof. Now, anyone saying that there's no evidence of fraud is lying. There's tons of evidence, and I was the one who got it. All those videos that you saw of homeless people admitting that they were paid for their vote, where do you think they came from? Immediately after the big spike of votes came in for Nithya, I sent my team down to Skid Row to collect evidence. We were warned by some very well-connected people that this was happening, so we acted on it immediately. But if you want to end this fraud, doing protests and bitching about stolen elections won't get you anything. You need the fraudsters to start catching charges. For that to happen, you need proof. That's what investigators do. They turn evidence into proof with a robust investigation. You think it's a coincidence that 20 FBI agents suddenly descended on Skid Row to investigate vote fraud? Why do you think they were there? You don't get evidence by going to rallies or storming the ballot processing center. You get evidence by doing real work. And the first rule of criminal investigation is you do not talk about it. Here's the reality. It's too late for my campaign. A lot of people refuse to accept that, but I can. I told you all to get your ass out and vote. Tell your friends to vote. Vote enough to beat the cheat. We didn't beat it, but that doesn't mean I quit. I don't know how to quit.
He never knew when to quit.
My goal isn't to try and salvage the campaign, just like my advocacy in the wake of the Palisades fire wasn't about my own home. It's too late for me. This is about you. This is about the next one. It's about exposing this corrupt, rigged system and changing it for the next election. If I have to be the kamikaze pilot to finally get this fixed, so be it. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this. The right way isn't easy, but it ends with commie animals and handcuffs. I will restore faith in our elections if it's the last thing I do. And to all you fraudsters out there, we've been watching you, and justice is coming.
What do you think, guys? You think that Spencer Pratt's telling the truth? I think he is. I think this man's on it. I think he's going to expose. I think this man's going to expose. I think this man is going to be a monster of a candidate in the future. By the way, I don't know about like the next Trump type thing, but definitely I'm going to say it right here. I think this guy's a presidential hopeful in the future. Not this next term. I think you got a JD Vance after Trump, but I think you get a Spencer Pratt after JD Vance. I'm just spitballing here, but this guy, I don't even know what his policies are, but I do see him working on things the issues that matter to the people, and I think is regardless of where he actually stands, because he if he's meeting with Trump, which he has recently, and he understands more of the game now, you might see a policymaker of the people. And I think that's something that we've all kind of wanted for so long. I mean, Trump's amazing. I'm wrong, and I'm a big fan. But this guy, he knows what it is to have nothing, and that would be truly a gift to the office of president. Same thing with JD Vance. So, I think that these two should run back to back for sure. Like Batman and Robin, but more like Batman and Nightwing, if you guys know the reference there, because they're a little more on equal footing. When it comes to just how much they could do for the people, because they know what it's like. They know what it's like to be you and I. And I think he's going to expose exactly what he's talking about. I really do. All right. Let's move into this next article. This next topic. They're at it again. They're claiming that aliens are real, guys. Here we go with the government. This article comes from the Epoch Times or Epic Times. It's EPOCH. It says here, key revelations from fourth batch of Pentagon UFO files. The Pentagon released its fourth new batch of UFO files, or UAP files, depending upon how you look at it, on July 10th, including a transcript from a conference that included scientists who worked on the Manhattan Project. This release of information on UFOs, which the government refers to as unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP, has a total of 40 files, including 19 videos, 14 documents, 4 audio clips, and 3 images. The mix of partially unredacted files and historical documents is sourced from from multiple agencies, including the CIA, FBI, Pentagon, NASA, and the Department of Energy. The Pentagon said it is not the last release of UFO files in relation to the President Donald Trump's executive order, according to a statement from Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell. So we could be seeing some more stuff here come out. He says that they're talking about the high speed rectangle balloon over the Atlantic, Manhattan Project scientists, 6-pointed star near China, the intrusion near the nuclear facility. And these are the things that's in these documents and the video and audio clips. So once again, they're trying to convince you that aliens are real, and we know that they're not. I'm sorry, but if you believe in aliens, I'm not gonna. I don't. I don't know why you would. I know that they're trying to get you convinced that this is otherworldly. This comes from our very own planet. This is technology that we have. You know, just take a look at the things that they put in the palm of your hand. This technology that we carry around, we call a cell phone. They had this a long time ago, man. They had this a long time ago. Do you think they didn't? What about quantum computing? Do you think that they don't already have quantum computing? By the time it reaches the general consumer, let's think about talk about television. The government had television for like years before the general consumer had any idea of any kind of version of that. It's television. That's just that's just a box with moving pictures on it. They had it for a long time. So what makes you think that this is otherworldly? The only thing that makes it otherworldly is, and I'll tell you this, I think the influence came from something very demonic. I think most technology came from an influence of something rather demonic. But thank God that we have the man, you see people say the man in the sky. Thank God that we have God. We're so thankful that we have God in control of everything, and he can use all this evil propaganda for good. He uses these evil acts for good. Things like, I don't know, this show, my entire network over there at Revolver Broadcasting. Things like Eternal Affairs overall, this network. Certainly. Uncovering and turning over the rocks for you guys. But there's all these different video clips and pictures, and they're going to try to convince you. They're going to do this more and more. They're going to try to make it normal. They're going to try to normalize it, just like they did with do you remember, so long ago they said, they'll never push trans. It's just gays that want to do the gay thing. They just gays that want to do the gay thing. And then they started pushing trans, and you say, oh no, we'll never push the trans thing. We'll never push that. We'll never push the cross dressers, drag queens. And then they had drag queens reading to children. Oh, well, we'll never push it on the kids any more than that. It's just and then they started doing full on drag shows in front of children where they were dancing nearly naked, if not sometimes all the way naked at some of these pride festivals. I've seen these guys riding bicycles There's a video clip that was on X. Guys were riding bicycles. They had no clothes on at all. And there were small children on the either side of the road. Absolutely disgusting. Oh no, we won't try to push this agenda on children. They're doing it in every school. I had an interview with a young man, as a young man I interviewed the other day, just 18 years old. He was telling me that he would regularly leave a couple different classes that he had when he was in high school, because he just recently graduated, and he would leave class because the teacher was trying to teach the classroom sexual orientation, homosexuality to the kids, and transgender ideology, and not warning against it, pushing it. Welcome in, Mischief. Good to see you. And you see these things, and oh no, we won't try to make what does a little kid have to do with ever need to know anything about any sexuality? They have their mom and their dad to teach them about those things. Now, if mom and dad see fit to teach them those things, and that's their value system, then that's their business. But when you start harming these kids, like this, telling them that they may have been born a boy, but they're really a girl, or they've been born a girl, but really a boy, you're messing with things you don't understand, for sure. So do you think that this technology, all that progression, but you trust the government with this? Oh yeah, this is definitely aliens, guys. They're going to try. They're going to try and normalize this, where you just hear about it all the time. It's just another thing. And then before you know it, there's going to be these, and you can quote me, they're going to be these, what looks to be real UFOs going in and visiting towns, and critters crawling out of it, whatever version of alien they're going to try to use or convince you of, or maybe multiple types of alien they're going to try to convince you of. They're going to try to convince you of these things. And then they try to they just label it conspiracy theory and throw it out. I've watched too many things that they've called conspiracy theory become fact, time after time after time. What did we just watched? The Spencer Pratt. He told you before the election, this is how it's going to go, that they're going to flip the vote. He told you, and they flipped the vote. We've watched their playbook time and time again. So when I say the words Project Bluebeam, and that pins your ears back and you run away, that's your problem. Because I'm telling you right now, they're going to try to put these projections. Maybe some of you have forgotten about a state known as Florida, and there was about 3 years ago, I think it was, where these so-called creatures had taken over an entire mall. The power went out, and all these big shadowy creatures that were 7, 8, 9 foot tall had taken over a mall. Do you guys remember this? And yet we're going to say Project Bluebeam doesn't exist. People forgot about that story. I haven't forgot. I don't know. And I hope you haven't forgot either. I hope you remember that story from Florida where they said the aliens were running around. All these people, they had cell phones out, and there was one guy's video from his cell phone where it looked like something was actually walking towards him. Looked like something from that movie Neighborhood Watch. Kind of wild. And that's right, Mischief. The Travis guy's demonic concert that people died at. People just forget about that. They just forget about these things. But no, they're telling us the truth about these as they release these documents about aliens. Come on. Right? Come on. Hmm. Speaking of lies, how about these guys? Democratic Socialists. Third article here, coming from Town Hall once more. Here's what the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America platform, reveals about democratic socialism and their war against the Constitution. Every form of socialism arrives at the same destination, the concentration of power. And every form of socialism, without exception, must first clear away the very thing standing in its path, which in the United States is the separation of powers, and the deeper philosophy of American government that has kept this nation free for 2.5 centuries, 250 years. Go America. If we can keep it. If we can keep it. You have a constitutional republic if we can keep it. That's what Ben Franklin said. Democratic socialism has come into to be a threat. Yes, mischief. You're right about. I believe 100%. You're right about that. Zoolander has a kernel of truth about it. I'll tell you, MK Ultra happened, and it's still happening. Guarantee it. But separation of powers is something that we have to have. We have to have that balance. We have to be able to do checks and balances. There has to be different arms to be able to check the different functions of government. Without one, the whole thing comes tumbling down. That's what they want to concentrate, and they want to cause a tyranny. So democratic socialism is no exception to what they're trying to do here. And if it has anything more honest about it than most of other forms, the honesty is on full display in Democratic Socialists of America's policy platform. Is once again making its rounds, calling for the abolition of the Senate, granting amnesty to every illegal alien in the country, defunding the Department of War, and most strikingly of all, replacing the presidency and the Supreme Court with the executive and judiciary subordinate only to Congress. So a handful of people have all the power. Now, that's already kind of happening. That's already kind of happening. And that's our fault as a people for not fighting more. But it's going to consolidate even more, and this country will become a third world country if this were to ever come to. Now we better fight it tooth and nail. And I agree with that. Democracy standing alone by itself is evil. You have to have the republic. You have to have the republic. We have to stand on the Constitution. Without it, the whole thing comes crumbling down, and these crazy commies. You think Cuba's bad. Two of these proposals stand above the rest, the first and the last. People often say the difference between socialism and democratic socialism is simply a matter of branding. That the latter just sounds more inclusive. That's true to an extent, but it misses the deeper point. Democratic socialists hold a near religious faith in the incorruptible virtue of direct democracy. It means mob rule. They believe that if the will of government and even that of private industry can simply be subordinated to the people, the result will inevitably produce virtuous outcomes. We know the inverse. That claim is directly contradicted by the founding fathers themselves, who built their government on the explicit understanding that tyranny does not require a king. It can just as easily be imposed by the will of the majority. Mob rule. A threat they actively designed against. To prevent it, they filtered the democratic will of the people through successive layers of insulation, each one designed to slow down and temper the democratic will of the people. Otherwise, New York and California, and when I say New York, NYC and LA would decide the entire nation. They would decide the fate of the entire nation. Because no matter how many people in the middle voted, there's such a mob in these major cities, they would decide every election without these safeguards. Says the Senate carried another. Its members originally chosen by the not by the public, but by state legislators. The presidency was insulated further still, and the Supreme Court further still beyond that. Notice exactly what the Democratic Socialists of America's platform seeks to dismantle. Not the institutions closest to the people; those remain untouched, but the ones built to sit furthest from the will of the simple majority. It is no coincidence that progressives have long despised the Electoral College for the same reason. This is the flaw sitting at the center of Democratic Socialists' entire faith, the belief that the people, left unfiltered and unchecked, could never produce tyranny of their own. What they don't understand is they're going to have total anarchy. It's going to produce total anarchy and a tyranny. No laws and no one to enforce them, and everyone becomes poor, and their machine just keeps running. And into the ground this country would go if these fools win. And I don't know who injected this man, Bernie Sanders. I don't know who injected him to keep, because that, I'm telling you, a couple years back, or about a year ago, no, 2 years ago now, I saw him. He was on Bill Maher's show. And he didn't seem like he was even present. Well, he was physically present. He didn't seem like he was present. And then all of a sudden, now he's back to being sharp as a tack. I got some questions. I'm not going to say anything about like cloning or anything, but he's been injected with some of that Biden juice or something. Because he's lucid somehow, and I'm not for sure how that's happening. And then you have this man here who openly, I believe, wants Sharia law. Democracy squashes the individual for the hive. Mm-hmm. Yep. Republic doesn't let the individual's right become crushed. Yes. The Republic is about the individual. That's why we have an electoral college. We have to maintain the electoral college, and we must maintain the Senate. We need the balance of power, because if everything gets consolidated to Congress, we would have a communist country. So they need to be squashed. Metaphorically speaking, of course, when we're talking about these types of politics need to be squashed like the bugs they are, and show the belly, the ugly, ugly belly of these kinds of policies. The left literally thrives on using groupthink. Yes, they do. They do have hive minds. It is sad. You'll hear the ones that are falling right in line and say, "Oh, it's a big tent. It's a big tent. It's a big tent." It's a big tent until they decide they don't like you, and then you end up being a Grand Platinum. We were talking about it last night on Faith Family Politics over there on my network. John believed that they had every intent of running Graham Plattner, but I think something happened where he started rubbing them the wrong way, so they started digging up. They knew they had enough passed on him, so they could. That's what they do. They know enough about you so that they can change the narrative on you. I don't know much about Graham Plattner other than the fact that he had a Nazi tattoo and he's been accused of sexual assault. I know he was a candidate that they were really behind. All of a sudden, now they're all distancing from him. A little strange. They know how to. It's the same playbook. It's the same play. We've seen this playbook. We've seen it with Biden and Kamala. All of a sudden, Kamala was swapped. Selected, not elected. And they have this excuse. Oh, we're going to use delegates. We're going to use delegates. So people will vote for the delegates, and these will be chosen. And that's how it's going to. So they can do the old switcheroo. Same playbook. Yeah, he does. He does the old tuggaroos at the porta potties. Yeah. Yep, that's another thing Graham Plattner has been doing. His statement is exactly the same as Anthony Weiner's. Yeah, that's what I said. It's another play. It's the same playbook, isn't it? If it wasn't for Andrew Breitbart, Anthony Weiner would have never been exposed. You know where Andrew Breitbart is now? He's not with us anymore. I wonder why that is. You think that Andrew Breitbart just come up, passed away? Do you think he just passed away? Natural cause? There's just how it happened. They knew that this man had changed because Andrew Breitbart, when he was younger, was definitely not a conservative. But he started uncovering truth, and he was like, "Ooh." So then his mind started to change, and he started becoming more conservative because of the truths that he was uncovering. And then he found out about Anthony Weiner. And so Anthony Weiner was actually at a press conference to categorically deny the things that he was accused of. And at this very press conference, and the pictures had already been sent to Anthony, like, hey, we have the evidence. If you try to do a press conference denying this, these pictures will go online. You'll be exposed. And just as he gets to the podium, Anthony Weiner gets to the podium, a voice in the back of the room says, Andrew Breitbart's in the building. Changes his tune real quick and fessed up. But do you think that they didn't already know that they could use these sacrificial lambs? That they will stomp all over their own for power. And you think that these guys that have been stomped all over aren't getting compensated in some way or another? They either disappear or they go on to live these luxurious lives where it's like, where did all the money come from? You were ostracized from society, yet you're doing all right. How does that work? Right, mischief. But hey, they really care about us. Yeah. Well, here's some good stuff. President Trump's speaking of Breitbart, his namesake, his newspaper lives on, and in this article here, written by Amy Furr, President Trump's plan for DC Arch wins initial approval, a fitting commemoration of 250 years. It passed the initial approval, so let's hope that it gets all the way to being finished. Federal Commission on Thursday granted President Donald Trump's plan to build a European-style arch in Washington, D.C. The initial approval. The National Capital Planning Commission voted to approve the preliminary site and plans for the structure near the Memorial Bridge, Fox 5 reported Friday. Commission staff had recommended preliminary approval while requesting changes to ensure the arch complies with the Height of Buildings Act. Fair enough. The article said adding suggested adjustments included redistributing height among the main structure, the habitable roof, and that would hold an observation deck, and the statue's plan for the top. And as you can see from this photograph, if you're watching here on video and not just listening on audio, I mean, this is an artist rendering, but that looks pretty cool. So, however, commissioners will continue debating whether the law applied. The final approval vote may happen in September, when the commission planned to meet again, ABC News reported. While House Staff Secretary Will Scarf, who is also the commission's chair, said, "I think commemorating America's 250th anniversary is important. I think that the proposed arch is a fitting commemoration of 250 years." In early April, Trump announced his administration filed the presentation and plans to the Commission of Fine Arts for what he described as the greatest and most beautiful triumphal arch anywhere in the world. This will be a wonderful addition to the Washington, D.C. area for all Americans to enjoy for many decades to come. He added that the proposed arch may be taller than the Lincoln Memorial and will resemble the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, France, according to Breitbart News here. Which we know the Arc de Triomphe and France. We have a lot of things that represent things in France. So could be really cool. They said earlier this year, Trump told reporters he did not know the exact height, but said it's just appropriate for the site. We're setting up a committee, and the committee is going to be going over it, but it'll be substantial. I'd like to see it, like to be the biggest one of all. We're the biggest, most powerful nation. I'd like it to be the biggest one of all. The news about the initial approval came as the president has worked to revitalize the nation's capital and clean it up crime-plaguing area. In doing so, Trump earned praise even from some Democrats who praised his construction and landscaping efforts that have polished and beautified the area for citizens and visitors. Including there's a really nice fountain there. There's a little bit of the Ark of the Covenant vibes. I think that they're actually supposed to be the angels that are on top are supposed to, the wings are supposed to go towards each other on the top of the arch. Very, very interesting. So that this artist depiction or AI depiction has them kind of facing one direction, but I think that the angels are actually going to face each other, much like what you see on Ark of Covenant. So it could be interesting. Could be interesting to see how that comes out, but I think it'd be really cool to have this arch and something beautiful in our nation's capital. You know, we have a few things in this nation. I was talking about this with someone the other day about how, I don't know how much, you know about architecture, but nowadays they have this thing called brutalist architecture, and it's overcome with, grays and faded whites and black and dark, like these awful looking earth tones that just don't like it. It looks like you don't even notice the building. You just go past it. It looks like a box. Like you look at modern day McDonald's, and I mean, I'm not going to McDonald's, but it used to be you go by McDonald's and you'd see red and yellow and it would be bright and you'd be like, oh, look, there's a McDonald's. You would really notice it. And then now it just looks like a box. Like it's not, the building is not pretty anymore. I know I'm talking about a food place, but it's like still there was some architecture to it. Or, I live near Indianapolis, and Indianapolis has a lot of beautiful old architecture in it, but you can tell where architecture actually switched. You can actually watch and know, like if you know the age of certain buildings, you can actually watch the, is it red and yellow are scientifically proven to provoke hunger? Yeah. I mean, that's probably why Pizza Hut chose red as well, right? For a long time, they did that, but they went with this brutalist architecture as well. until recently. One of the new owner is trying to bring back those classics. What think about all these buildings you see in your metropolitan areas, these older buildings. Think about the ones that were built in the late 1900s, the early 1900s. They're beautiful. They have things like this built onto the building. You know, the architecture, like the stones and the archways. And I think about the Scottish Rite downtown Indianapolis. There's no mortar on that building. Not a bit of mortar. All the stones are so perfectly aligned, they don't need mortar. When did we forget how to build like that? That building's not, according to Historical Society, not any older than any of the other buildings downtown. And yet we don't know how to build like that anymore. We can't create this beautiful things anymore. No, they want to create ugly, ugly things like Barack Obama's library there in Chicago. Looks like a giant trash can. I want to see beautiful stonework with angels or gargoyles. I don't care. Just like as long as it's something ornate. Put some roses or some, I don't know. Put some design in it. How about some great, what was the cypress? When it comes to the wood on the inside, like the War Memorial here in Indianapolis, not too far from me in Indianapolis anyway. The War Memorial, if you walk inside that building, it is gorgeous. I mean, absolutely stunning. If you look up the War Memorial, Indianapolis, Indiana, and look at the inside of the War Memorial in Indianapolis, Indiana, and take the tour on the inside, I'm telling you, stunning architecture. But we can't build that anymore? Well, it's too expensive. The materials, we had way less money back then, but we can't afford to do it now? No, we want this ugly drool blocks with window slits in it like this. Why do all these buildings look like prisons now? You go to an office building, it looks like a prison. I worked in an office that was built in an old school. It was an old elementary and then later high school. And they changed it. They rebuilt the windows and things to make the windows, instead of like full-size windows, they had these little... I was like, what did they do that for? It feels like I'm going to prison instead of to work. Yeah, the cathedral in Germany. Yeah, definitely. Beautiful, beautiful places. These beautiful places with the fountains in Italy, right? These are things that I know we can still build. And we have these beautiful things in Washington, D.C., and Trump has cleaned them up, tried to clean up the reflecting pool. Of course, leftists can't have that, because it looked really beautiful with that blue. Oh my goodness. For a couple of days at least. Yeah. Modernity is blonde when, yeah, with yeah, you could definitely speak to that as a carpenter for sure. Mischief. Yeah. It is just is bland and blonde. You know, like when I say blonde, I'm, you know what I mean. Oblivious to its own terribleness. Dingy, even. But I think they do it on purpose. I think they do it. It's part of this control thing that they got going on. But I don't want to get too far along, because I'm already 38 minutes in. I got a couple more stories to share with you guys. Building codes and everything is made weaker. Yeah. These building codes that they're brought into to cause problems, to make it harder to build beautiful things. But we've been talking about this guy and President Trump, and he's if you read the New York Post here recently, Trump warns U.S. military will destroy all areas of Iran in the event he's assassinated by a regime. 1,000 missiles locked and loaded. Now, because you know that they've been putting all these banners up saying that they're going to kill him, right? President Trump on Friday night doubled down on his threat to decimate and destroy Iran should the regime succeed in assassinating him. 1,000 missiles are locked and loaded, aimed at the Islamic Republic of Iran, with thousands more to immediately follow should the Iranian government act on its threat, pronounced in many corners of the globe, to assassinate or attempt to assassinate the sitting president of the United States of America. In this case, me, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Orders have already been given. The U.S. military is ready, willing, and able for a 1-year period of time, subject to extension, to completely decimate and destroy all areas of Iran. Praise be to Allah, he added. So even in his, in the wake of his potential demise, he's trolling, man. He's trolling him hard, letting him know, like, I ain't scared of you, bro. Bring it. He said, I've been on their list for a long time. That's what we're dealing with, Trump told the Post. The only thing is, I've left instructions, if anything happens, to just literally bomb them at levels that they've never seen before. Iran has openly sought the president's assassination since 2020, when Trump directed the attack that killed Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps General Qasem Soleimani. Late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, his son and successor, I can't say these names, man. Mojtaba Khamenei threatened Trump and the U.S. in a written message Saturday. They said, we pledge to avenge the blood of the martyred leader and all the martyrs of these two wars from the criminal and disgraced killers, Khamenei said in the message. The sequestered younger Khamenei, who was reportedly severely mangled in the airstrike that killed his father on the first day of the war, wrote that it was the demand of the nation to avenge his father's death. Banners vowing revenge against Trump were on full display in Tehran this week as Iranians prepared to bury Ali Khamenei. One placard held by dozens of Khamenei's sycophants during a burial ceremony on Thursday read, "We will kill Trump." You know, when they seen these banners coming up, that's when they should have just went ahead and hit those places, right where all those banners were. But at the same time, I wonder if these people were forced to carry these banners, and they thought, you know, if we force them out there and they get hit, these will all be actually innocent people that were forced into doing it. Something to think about. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. Isn't Iran the one that Tucker is talking good about? Yeah. Unfortunately, someone needs to give Tucker a talking to. He's too busy up there fly fishing. He's gotten too comfortable. Someone needs to shake him. I think a visit to Middle America with regular people would help Tucker get his head back squared back on straight. We should intercept the casket and hold it ransom. I think we should intercept the casket. Go ahead and destroy it, but then tell them that we're holding it ransom. And then when they find out it's actually gone, go ahead and bomb them anyway. Honestly, I'm tired of dealing with this. This is just my thoughts on it. You know, they're never going to change. And the only thing they understand is destruction. But now, of course, President Trump is way more measured than I am. And has, you know, even with his statements, he's way, way kinder than I would have already ordered the strikes. I would have already ordered the strikes. There wouldn't be anything left. There wouldn't be a sun there wouldn't be an heir. There wouldn't be a mangled person left. When it comes to these people that just want nothing but that to America, I just wipe them out. And I'm not talking about the good innocent. There's some good innocent Iranians out there, but I want them to be free, man. I don't want them to have to live under this crap. Pardon my language. I'm so tired of watching the world suffer at the hands of Islam. I'm so tired of it. But I think it's God sought best to not give me any of his because I would have already used the fires of heaven to burn out Islam. I'll tell you, get rid of it because it does nothing but destroy. It does just like we read about the devil himself coming to kill, steal, and destroy. That's all Islam does. It's only spread by the sword. They can't spread Islam peacefully. They don't know how. But I'm going to digress. I'm going to talk about something real happy. Because this young lady right here has been bringing me smiles in recent days. Regardless of all the things happening around the world, Sophie Cunningham, this young lady, I'm telling you, with her point, the pointing memes, these Sophie memes have taken over the internet. And I got to talk about it for a minute because now I'm an Indiana native. That's where I live in Indiana. So I get to see some of these games on my regular television here. I know that y'all don't get to always see that, but Sophie Cunningham is awesome. She's a great basketball player. We're big Caitlin Clark fans here in the state of Indiana. I think Caitlin Clark is universally loved by a lot of people, but old Luana Bonner, she couldn't handle it. So Sophie Cunningham took this, to the next level. Coming from Sportsnot, Sophie Cunningham takes a shot at DeWanna Bonner before a rematch, calling her a Miss Priss. Sophie Cunningham isn't done talking about DeWanna Bonner, and that's a good thing from an entertainment standpoint. It's only intensified the spotlight on the Indiana Fever versus Phoenix Mercury rivalry. On a recent episode of the Sons and Daughters podcast, Cunningham referred to Bonner as Miss Priss while recounting their heated on-court exchange just weeks ago. I wasn't even speaking to Miss Priss over there, she said, describing her persistent finger pointing during a viral 22-second stare down clearly got under Bonner's skin. The moment, which stemmed from a scramble involving Caitlin Clark, the famed Alyssa Thomas throat punch, quickly became one of the league's most memed sequences. And the finger point made Bonner mad. And she was like, "Don't you point at me." And I was like, this is what Cunningham said. Oh, she shouldn't have said that. Oh, she shouldn't have said that. So she continued to point at her. And the internet won. Yeah. How small is your ego that, or how little it is do you think of everyone else? That how big is your ego that you think that somebody pointing at you is like the end of the world? It's so bad. You got pointed at. Oh no. You pointed at me. And, I'm sure that it was seen as an act of aggression. I'll bet. But I won't share all the some of the pictures and photos in this article here, but because they have her in like bikini and stuff like that. And I don't want to be sharing that on the screen, but if you guys haven't seen the Sophie Cunningham pointing memes, they're fantastic. Not only that, but the Fever beat the Mercury again. And at the end of the game, as the Fever were kind of celebrating and Bonner's kind of walking away, pretending to kind of pull Sophie away from Miss Bonner, she points at her again at the end of the game like, gotcha. We won. Deal with it. Oh man, I'm a fan. This young lady's fantastic. And I hope that the Indiana Fever show the league this crew has got it this year, and make them pay for all the garbage that they have put young Miss Caitlin Clark through, and this attention that Sophie's brought to that team on top of this really puts a spotlight on all this garbage. And what an article to end on, right, guys? What an article to end on. Trying to get things set up here so that I believe Sterling is still streaming over there on Revolver. So if I can get that set up, I'll get you guys rated out back over to my home network. And then here at 6 p.m., so just a couple hours away, less than a couple hours away now, I will be on Revolver Broadcasting, and I will be interviewing and on the Hangout Midnight Q. So if you haven't already checked out that channel as well, Midnight Q, he does a lot of gaming. The guy loves the Lord. He's absolutely fantastic. And I'd say don't miss out. It's going to be fantastic. And I don't know why I just took myself away from being able to raid you guys out to Revolver, my home network. I brought up this video instead. There we go. Copy that. And then come back to my home this network here. I'm working on the raid. Be patient with me. There we go. All right, guys. Thank you for watching DeProgrammed. And hopefully I see you over there at Revolver Broadcasting tonight. But if not, for those of you who just watch Eternal Affairs, I will see you next Saturday, as I will be doing this show once more. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, as a matter of fact. See you later.
Yeah. They told you what to think, not how to think. Time to wake up. DeProgrammed.
Another app for inventory, one for CRM. Oh, don't forget accounting. Wait, which login was that?
Or you could use Odoo, one fully integrated system that does it all without the hassle. Ditch the app overload. Get everything your business needs on one platform. Try Odoo free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.